Wind energy is currently the fastest growing energy source in the world. The US has been one of the key contributors to this growth over the last decade. In the early 2000s, wind energy was on the rise in the United States, with an average growth rate of 24% from 1998 to 2002, according to the US Department of Energy. The US soared to surpass Germany with the greatest installed capacity in 2008. This amazing growth continues to flow from three key market forces: reduced cost of production, increased demand for clean energy, and state and federal incentives. Since the 1980s, production costs have fallen from 80 cents per kilowatt hour to 4 cents per kilowatt hour in 2012. The decrease in cost is also accompanied by an increase in efficiency. Over the last decade, the capacity factor has increased by almost 15%, reaching a high of 40% in 2012. The increase in efficiency and continually decreasing costs of production point to a promising future for wind energy growth. Demand for clean energy is increasing as well. While this is due in part to energy regulatory policies that make dirtier forms of energy more difficult to produce, it is also a result of greater environmental awareness worldwide. Renewable energy is the world's fastest growing energy source, increasing at a rate of 2.5% per year. This growth is only expected to increase as countries continue to set aggressive renewable portfolio standards. Finally, state and federal policies have strongly influenced the wind energy market. The most recent example was the last-minute extension of the federal production tax credit for renewable energy on January 2, 2013. The tax credit was initially established in the Energy Policy Act of 1992, but was recently renewed for 1 year and set to expire in December of 2013. According to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the tax credit has been critical to the development of the U.S. wind power industry and the deployment of wind generation in the United States. As a result of the delay to renew the credit, wind power took a massive dive in installations despite a record high in projects under construction by the close of 2013. According to the market, wind energy is the most promising clean energy source in the world, and with continued support of key policy decisions and increasing efficiency, it will continue to rise for years to come. Wind is an indirect form of solar power that results from uneven heating of the Earth's surface. This uneven heating produces horizontal and vertical air motions which, when combined with Earth's rotation, produce regular patterns of airflow. We are able to harness this mechanical energy and convert it into electrical energy for human use. About 1% of solar energy incident on Earth's surface becomes the kinetic energy of wind, totaling roughly 2 petawatts. This energy is 100 times the average rate of human consumption, suggesting that this source has major potential. In fact, it is estimated that some 20% of U.S. electricity could be supplied by wind power by placing wind turbines on only 0.6% of total U.S. land area, much of which could still be used for other purposes, such as grazing and agriculture. For comparison, roughly 51% of U.S. land is currently used for agricultural production. Though the average output of wind turbines is reduced by wind variability and the efficiency of the turbine, with careful design, turbines can be optimized to provide the maximum output for a given region.
Once the turbine has been constructed and installed, wind power is non-polluting. Though fossil fuel energy must be used in production of wind turbines, the energy required to manufacture, install, maintain, and decommission the turbine is produced within the first 2 to 3 months of operation. Unlike other forms of indirect solar energy, such as hydroelectric dams, wind power does not block natural flows. Wind turbines create a hazard for birds and bats, though at magnitudes far below what we tolerate for other human installations such as windows, vehicles, power lines, cell towers, even household cats. The largest complaint many have about the turbines is their effect on wilderness value and aesthetics. Many regions that would be best suited for wind power are also isolated, requiring the construction of roads and other infrastructure through previously unscarred wilderness. Clearly, the expansion of the global wind power sector is an exciting step in combating CO2 emissions. However, public reaction to the installation of wind turbines has been polarized. Proponents of wind energy argue that the electricity generated by the turbines would allow for decreases in fossil fuels used for electricity production. However, the sheer size of wind turbines, given their close proximity to energy consumers, has caused problems for some people. The most common complaint is the aesthetic impact of turbines on the land around them. While most people would enjoy consuming renewable energy, many people dislike the idea of having a 400-foot tall wind turbine in their backyard. The controversy has received the most attention from national media regarding the proposed Cape Wind wind farm on the Nantucket Sound. The electricity produced by the farm would directly replace some of the electricity generated by a nearby oil and natural gas plant in Sandwich, Massachusetts. While the farm was approved by Massachusetts and federal officials in 2010, major construction has still not begun due to a number of lawsuits that opponents of the farm, most notably the Alliance to Protect Nantucket Sound, continued to bring to court. The Alliance to Protect Nantucket Sound does support renewable energy, despite its opposition of Cape Wind. The organization lists energy sources like Hydro-Quebec and deep water wind farms as possible replacements for the power that Cape Wind is planned to provide. The Alliance to Protect Nantucket Sound is an advocate for carbon-free electricity, provided that the electricity comes from somewhere else. While some anti-wind activists argue that the turbines are a blight on the environment, it is important to remember that all sources of energy impact the environment in various aesthetic ways. Some of the negative public reception to proposed wind projects also comes from concerns about the impacts of the turbines on human health. While it is not recognized by the Center for Disease Control as a real condition, some doctors have begun to diagnose patients with wind turbine syndrome. The condition, supposedly caused by living in close proximity to a wind turbine, is characterized by headaches, dizziness, insomnia, and nausea. However, a conflict of interest is apparent as Dr. Nina Pierpont, the doctor who identified the syndrome, is married to an anti-wind activist, and her research has been called questionable due to a small sample size and no proper peer review. The lack of proper evidence has caused some scientists to label wind turbine syndrome as more of a placebo effect than an actual condition. The only substantial claim for wind turbine effects on human health is the constant low rumbling sound when a turbine is active. However, studies have shown that at 300 meters away, a turbine creates roughly 43 decibels of noise, which fits right into the acceptable background noise level defined as 40 to 45 decibels. While its expansion has been controversial near populated areas, we believe that all of the evidence exists to provide a compelling argument for wind farms to be an exciting part of the fuel mix of a more sustainable world.